The hot trending scene.
Jurors enter.
Okay, here we go. Judgment time. Here we go.
He's been 6 to 12.
I still need 3 more stories.
This is like 8 stories.
We're going to be delayed on getting the show ready.
I will delay myself for this. Judge, we have received your note. Juror number 5, have you reached a verdict? We have. Is it unanimous? It is. Please provide the verdict to the deputy.
Perfect.
Okay, the deputy will inquire to the verdict. In the matter of U.S. versus Combs, count 1, not guilty. Sex trafficking of Cassie Ventura, not guilty. Transportation of prostitution, guilty. So count 1 and 2, not guilty.
Wow.
Mann Act, guilty.
Wow.
All right, so that's sex trafficking, no. Count 1, no. Count 3, yes. Mann Act, Cassie.
And,
now we have
count
Jane.
3 is Mann Act Cassie.
Correct. So now we just have Jane sex trafficking and sorry, I'm yelling. Jane sex trafficking and Jane Mann Act.
Sex trafficking, not guilty. Transportation of prostitution, Jane, guilty.
Wow, so 2 of the Mann Acts. 2 Mann Acts and that's it.
Up to 20.
But, you know what? But that may be concurrent, and the prosecution.
Well, it's 2 separate acts. It wouldn't be.
This is a.
Oh my
even
God.
though he's found guilty, huge. This is a loss for prosecutors.
Yeah.
I mean, their whole point was Diddy was a racketeer who forced them into sex. The jury said no.
This is the entire case now is just a simple prostitution case.
It's a prostitution case. Heard of judges saying to the media, "Don't talk." Why? Why? The jurors can say no if they want.
Fair point.
So I'm sorry about that. That's just wrong.
So let's go get him.
Well, we're gonna try, and everybody else is gonna try. Everybody wants to know, especially now. Especially now. I mean, look, Diddy got convicted on 2 serious felony counts that could land him in prison. I don't think he's going to get the maximum. He's a first-time offender. And you have to look at the overlay here, which is they found him not guilty on the main counts that caused the prosecutors to file this case in the first place. So I don't think he's going to get anywhere near the maximum. But whichever way you look at it, whether he spends 5 years in prison, which will...
Hey Harvey, Agnifilo just said Diddy should be released to the judge.
Until sentencing.
Until sentencing.
Well, that's interesting because they don't believe he was the...
Why? The analysis hasn't changed on his danger.
Yes, it has. It has. So he was found not guilty, Derek. He was found not guilty. If he were guilty of coercion or force or racketeering, yes, he should be held without bail.
Society is not at risk from somebody who just simply sleeps with prostitutes. It's just not at risk.
That's not what he's guilty of, not sleeping with.
No,
He's guilty of putting one on a plane going from one state to another.
That's illegal.
Yeah.
It's illegal, but it's not a risk. It's not a risk where you keep somebody in pending appeal.
So how much jail time are we looking at?
I don't know. We don't know.
It's 10 years per act.
So, hold on, guys. This is huge. That the judge is going to have to make a decision now on bail.
That's a bail question. You're asking for
This is, guys, this is huge. Whether if the judge, it's huge.
So what, he would just be out until the sentence?
Yeah, he could be out pending sentencing.
Yeah.
Honestly,
It's a fair ask. I don't know that he'll let
That would be a hell of a last freak off.
This is going to show the judge's
Okay,
feelings on his
Agnifilo is making
dangerousness.
the
No.
argument about
You can't-
how he should be released.
you cannot.
The analysis is whether
The same thing that he was saying at the bail
The
hearing.
jury said no.
He's not convicted of a crime that would you typically hold over somebody.
It's in Maui. He does not have access to his plane. This is his first conviction, and it is a prostitution offense. He should be released.
Yeah, I mean that's a compelling. That is a compelling argument.
They would never hold over somebody just on a
Mann Act. They would never.
prostitution offense.
They would never.
But it's not the same analysis as the verdict. It just isn't. It's an analysis of
He was
dangerousness and flight
found
risk.
not guilty.
He is found guilty of crimes. He's going to be sentenced. Hold on. Now I think about this. Is he a flight risk? Yes, he's still hugely wealthy and he's been convicted of a crime.
That's why he says he doesn't have access to a plane. They still have his passport. He probably is not a flight risk at this point.
I don't know that you can say that he's one of the wealthiest.
Not everybody who's
Because you're
is
wealthy
held
doesn't mean you stay in
Okay, I give
prison.
him a thing. His family is here and could sign a bond. He should be released today to go back and live at 2-Star Island. The judge says this is coming up right now. I will hear from the government in a moment. Are you proposing he just walk outside now? Yes.
Holy crap. No, I know. I don't see how the if the judge says we're going to hold him without bail on a prostitution charge, no way. No way.
During sentencing, Roman Polanski, because he was raped.
No, I know, but
raped a 13-year-old.
Yes.
Okay. All he did was have
He
sex with a
transported
prostitute.
prostitutes.
He had sex with a prostitute. Those are crimes, guys. You guys are making them sound like not crimes. They're punishable.
You hear him say the judge said, "Do not talk to the jurors."
I know, and we're gonna. The judge is wrong. I mean, the judge can tell the media, we are going to try and talk to jurors.
He said they're allowed to talk.
Yeah, I don't
He just told them not to talk about what happened in deliberation.
It's just wrong. He's just wrong.
He told him not to talk about deliberation. He said they're free to talk.
He can talk about. The judge can say anything, but the jurors can talk about deliberation.
Jurors have a First Amendment right to talk about.
And the media has a First Amendment right.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry. We are not going to. This judge is out of bounds. He's out of bounds.
I agree.
He can ask.
No, he can totally request. And if the jurors want to abide by it, that's fine. That's their right. Come on.
Yeah, he's going to talk to the jurors.
Ignore what the judge said. Yeah.
A little more. I told him several times, talk to the jurors. That one done.
Right. And everybody else is going to try to get and which is not even the point. The point is that the judge cannot advise the media. Come on.
Harvey, I just was hitting up by our prosecutor, our sex crimes prosecutor, Kirsten, who you've spoken with. Fed sentencing is different, but usually since it's two separate victims, more likely consecutive sentences, up to 20 years. Defense will most likely certainly argue to a concurrent.
They're proposing $1 million bond and travel to Florida.
Person found guilty.
The government
He wants to be able to go to Florida, New York.
Can I tell
LA.
you something? The government got its ass kicked here. They got their ass kicked. They never would have filed a Mann Act case against him. This case was filed because of Cassie's lawsuit, and remember, the U.S. attorney gets up and he talks about baby oil and Astroglide and all this other stuff. The jury bought Agnifalo's argument that this was, you got Astroglide off the street. They lost. This was a huge loss.
Let's not turn it into just a game, right? Diddy.
Well, it was a game.
But Diddy did some monstrous things.
Yes.
You can't fault the prosecution. And the prosecution put on a really good case. I'm not faulting the jury, but it's like these things happen and it was worth the risk for the government, right? He's a kind of a monster.
Well, now yes.
Is he a federal crime monster? No. Apparently not, according to the jury. Yes.
We saw the Intercontinental video.
Yes.
That's enough to say yes.
Right.
That's enough to say yes.
But it's not enough to
But
say
he wasn't prosecuted for that.
I got it. They didn't misdo anything. They just
This should have been a domestic violence case in state court.
The feds can only charge with what they can charge.
In state court.
They didn't have the statute of limitations.
No, I understand.
Because
they should not have brought the case.
Because you had to
But
bring
can I
in the
tell you
last 10
something?
years of conduct.
But can I tell you something? Because the statute of limitations ran in California, shouldn't justify the feds saying we got to get our pound of
Homie's
flesh.
saying
Exactly.
the defendant faces a maximum sentence of 20 years. Even while faced with this case, he assaulted Jane. Here in New York, preparing to surrender, he had drugs in his hotel room, was ready to commit the same offense.
That was
talking
not
about when they arrested him,
Yeah, but
he
he
was
was
ready to
found
do
not
it.
guilty.
He was found not guilty.
But that's not. But to your point, that's not the analysis.
not the
here.
analysis.
The analysis
Is he a flight risk
And
and
is he
a danger?
Right.
Okay.
They're saying he was about to, and that's not beyond a reasonable doubt danger. That is he a danger? It's a different analysis than convicting someone beyond a reasonable
he's
doubt.
right. I mean,
he is.
Listen, what the judge could say hypothetically is he beat Cassie to a pulp in a hallway. He is a violent man. But
the preponderance of the evidence shows he's violent.
do you look at somebody's life history
for sentencing
for bail?
For sentencing and for sentencing, yes.
We're not talking
for bail.
sentencing.
Is he a danger? The judge has this. Has this ephemeral right to this. Like, is it to sentence for? Is he a danger?
Analysis is not to. We keep going back to the Intercontinental, which happened in 2016. June 2024, a year ago, he beat Jane to a pulp.
Well, but that's according to testimony.
That's according
that
to
he
testimony.
doesn't necessarily have
She
to
showed her
believe.
bruises.
Yeah, but it's not that the testimony has to
I'm
be
saying
true. It's that
I know.
while he was
find
under
credible
federal
enough. That's right.
investigation,
That's
he
right.
was doing all of this stuff.
I understand. stand.
All right.
And the judge might hang his hat on that.
We're going to know, I think, in the next 5 minutes, right? Or maybe the judge is going to take him in and
That's what I think the prosecution's saying, is that even after he is now acquitted and whatever,
Judge says, I'm not going to resolve this second. I need to review the statutes. Ms. Comey, do you have a case in which bail was denied after a conviction under the Mann Act? You may confer and
That's
come back.
the question.
We plan to be here the whole day.
That's the question.
They're going to confer
Is
and come
there
back.
a no bail under the Mann Act? And he's asking the prosecutor, do you have a case that allows me to hold somebody without bail pending sentencing based on the Mann Act?
It troubles me that he's distracted by that because that's not the analysis.
No, but
it's just not.
But no, it's part of it, right? If the answer is it's never happened in the history of American jurisprudence, then maybe okay, we're not.
He should apply the standard of whether to release someone pending sentencing. And the standard says, is that person a flight risk and is that person a danger? It is a separate analysis from your conviction and your indictment.
Flight risk, I totally agree with you, and he can independently analyze that, right? Is he a danger? Well, a big part of is he a danger is what is the crime for which he's been convicted? He hasn't been convicted for the other stuff.
Another part, though, is did he even rebut that his dangerous tendencies? No, during that case, even though they didn't convict him, he never rebutted that he beat the crap out of.
It's not his job to put on a defense.
I'm not saying it is. I'm not saying it is, but
Can I tell you,
he can take that into account.
the fact that the judge is honing in and saying, do I even have authority to hold him without bail based on Mann Act convictions, that's what he asked the prosecutor.
You're right. No, he's honed in on it. So I agree with you.
If you're the judge and he wants to hold him, it's a good question to ask. Like, has it ever? I don't want to be overturned.
Can I tell you what's just been in my head? So we talked about this in the office for months, that Cassie had a 11-year relationship, and she seemed down with it, at least on paper, on text, with her words for a lot of it, and then there's parts where she said she wasn't. And you know, when I heard this testimony, because I remember when Cassie testified that we were flying back from France, and this was on direct, where the prosecution was asking questions. I was flying back from France, and Diddy came up to my seat, showed me the freak-off video, and said, I'm going to release it. I may release it, or threaten to release it. And I remember thinking, okay, but unless you do what? And she didn't say. And it really struck me. And then we talked about that on the air.
Yes.
And then on
redirect, they connected.
On redirect, the prosecutor asks the question, and then she offers it.
But to the jury, it appeared inauthentic.
Because she would have said that
right
at the beginning.
Right.
Yeah, they had to get
at the beginning.
I remember we talked about this at the time.
And it always like stuck in my head. And I always thought there was an issue because of consent.
Yeah.
And then when I heard it was when they came back after an hour and they said, there's one guy who's just not following the law. It just made me think it had to be 11 guilty.
Yeah.
But it may have been 11 not guilty.
I think
and
now
it
looks
seems like
that way.
it was.
Well, not 11. We had multiple, but
No. They came in and said a juror will not follow the instructions.
Jurors.
Nope. After the first hour, juror 25, they said he was not following the law. So it sounded like it was 11 against 1.
It sounded like he was a holdout for not guilty.
And that means they reached a decision, right off the jump, that they did a straw poll or something, and it must have been 11 said bullshit to sex trafficking and RICO.
We never thought the holdout would be a guilty holdout. We thought it was a not guilty holdout with 11
it's
guilty.
The only thing
and it
that
turns
made
out
sense.
it was the other. Juries are.
We got another note yesterday that said it was multiple jurors.
No. But
I
because maybe that one juror was persuasive.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden there was a split.
How do you swear asking about drug distribution? It looked like they were looking for a reason.
For
someone to say like just handing it to him is also an offense. It's hard to reconcile the questioning.
When that answer comes back from the judge, yes, that's a predicate act.
And that
did he do that?
And that to me suggests jury nullification.
Yes.
That this jury did not believe this was RICO. This was not a mafia Tony Soprano. I mean,
because they threw out that instruction of just handing it to him.
That is organized crime. he committed disorganized crime. He was a jealous criminal boyfriend who was doing all sorts of things but it wasn't an enterprise.
Don't you think they ultimately did not buy Cassie's testimony? They had to discount it
The
tremendously.
one part they bought was the text message where she said,
Or they found reasonable doubt.
well,
Fair.
when she said in that text message, it always stuck in my mind, I'm down to freak off anytime. They put a lot of stock in her words that she was always down. But she said, I'm always.
Want to be involved.
You know what? I don't want to.
But then she said they didn't buy her. They didn't believe her testimony.
Well, they bought her text message where she said she's always
No,
down.
you know why they didn't buy it? Because I want to go right back to it. We need to talk. This is why we need to talk to the jury. It feels like they walked into that jury room, sat down, and they said, "This case is bullshit."
Yeah.
And 11 of them said that. I mean, from the beginning. From the beginning.
What are we? Can you imagine? What are we even doing here? It's a simple prostitution.
Comey said,
Okay,
he asked if new cases. She said, I know cases involving minors. We intend to raise relevant conduct at sentencing, the drugs, the violence. The judge said, I'd like letters from each side in a few hours. Now they said, I think that makes sense, according to the judge. Mr. Combs does not want to go back to MDC. He is shaking his head. So 1 p.m. letters, and we'll convene in the afternoon. I'll let the parties know when.
Okay, so it's...
Agnifilo says he would be a fool, which he is not, to violate any condition.
That's true. That's true. While he's out,
Let me just let me paint the picture. Diddy may be spending the 4th of July with his family on Star Island.
Absolutely, that could happen.
or not with his
The
family.
judge seems to be wanting a hook to
Or
say
with
otherwise.
I would not.
But I don't know if he'll get it.
I would have lost a ton of money if I had to wager a bet on that.
I was a bit broke.
Who would have bet that?
So
I don't get it.
I mean,
yesterday when we were thinking that the jury was deadlocked and that there were 2 holdouts for convicting him, it was probably the opposite.
it was the opposite.
It was the opposite.
It was the opposite.
It was the opposite.
the opposite.
Which,
But no. But you weren't even oriented.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I was working on the website.
One key element that
when they
wasn't
came
brought
out
up,
an
just
hour after they
I
started
strongly
and said,
believe, based
there's this
on the
one guy who won't follow
testimony,
instructions,
that the jury
now it
saw
seems
That one guy was the one
as a
person.
junkie.
it was just one guy who
who
wanted to
was
say
very
guilty.
disorganized,
Right.
and not
everybody
John
else said
Gotti,
not guilty.
obviously, doing a bunch of racketeering
wait,
stuff.
did he
It
not
was
hold the
very
jury?
obvious to me.
Well, no, I mean,
listening
it's
to the
obvious it was
testimony
unanimous. They said
that
it was unanimous.
Diddy's a junkie.
This is
Jamie thinks it might have been sympathy for his drug addiction.
I want to hear what juror
Diddy
number
is-
25. That's
Diddy
right.
is a junkie.
Yeah, I want to know.
And
25.
I think
juror
that the
25,
jurors,
the guy who
particularly in New
wouldn't
York,
follow
where
instructions.
drugs
But
are so
25 may have
prevalent
just
in New
been
York.
about Rico.
People,
I don't know.
a lot of people have
That's why I wanted to
experiences.
I think it's a terrible point that the jury might have had sympathy that this guy was in a drug-fueled
No.
So he's a junkie,
What drove
not-
them then?
I
He
think
admitted to beating
I
the crap out of her in the hallway.
If they think
they saw him beat the crap out of her in the hallway.
If they think he beat her, and if they think that there was force or coercion, they would have found him guilty on sex trafficking.
Maybe not if they feel like there was.
They would have found him guilty on sex trafficking.
They
don't know.
just didn't believe Cassie.
Come on.
It's no big in that. They just discounted her testimony. They think it wasn't that bad. They think she wanted it.
Or they had reasonable doubt.
Well, whatever. Sure.
No, but that's a
You're right.
They looked
It's an
at
important
reams of
distinction.
things where bruising was on her face. There were images of
I know, but
of
you're
the
pro-
abuse.
you-
So what do you make of that?
The ship has sailed.
After the
So, but
judge,
what do you make
after
of
the
that?
judge left the courtroom from the gallery, a loud clapping and cheering as Combs is led back into the holding cell.
I mean, this is a huge victory.
It's incredible.
Well, you know what?
look at those
on the one hand, you say it's a huge victory for Sean Combs. Well, he may go to prison for 5 years, but undeniably, it is a huge seismic defeat for the
It's
prosecution.
an embarrassing disaster for one of the most.
He goes to prison for 5 years. He's happy to go to prison,
I think
knowing what he could have done.
and also it's a federal prison. It's the best possible result. He faces up to 20.
No. But he's not going to Supermax. He could go to a minimum
He could go to a
security.
white-collar prison.
That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We're acting like there's a very rosy picture. He still has
but
100
Derek,
Busby lawsuits. His
Derek,
life
when
is
he was-
effectively
when
over.
He was taken into custody in that hotel in New York City, and he has never seen the light of day since. He must have had every possible. I mean, yeah. Last night you said he probably can't sleep, probably couldn't. He was picturing the rest of his life. He's got 5 years in the country club. 5 years in the country club.
What happens to the Busby lawsuits? What happens to all that?
Oh, he still has to face all the Busby. Yeah. He still may be destitute.
I'm calling Garagos. He won't take my call. He's in the middle of stuff. Just one? I'm going to psychodial him.
A brief overview of who Garagos is for those who don't know.
I'm not taking no for an answer, Mark. What? Yeah, no, he's in the middle of this. He's in New York.
Leave me a message, I'll call you right back.
I'm going to try 5 times.
So Mark Garagos is a...
Mark Garagos.
Do you really want to show the fact that he never picks up your call?
Yeah, he made us kill that from the show.
Oh, is that Garagos?
Hey, we have to...
I don't see any.
There's a...
I think you called him twice.
We have to record this,
Record what?
the thing we're doing for the affiliates.
Oh, we got to do that right now.
Send that out.
Where are we doing it?
You're doing it on the live
We're
stage.
going to do the
We should do
promo,
it-
and then we're going to record that, and then we'll do...
We should do it right
Do
now.
the promo, then that.
Okay, one more time. If you listen to the Two Angry Men podcast, you will know it takes 20 calls to get him once. Am I wrong?
Leave me a message, I'll call you right back.
He doesn't even know what you said.
I know, it's done.
Wait a minute.
Oh, you can get that.
Oh,
Who cares?
Joe Tacopina, tell Nancy, Grace, and Ashley I told you.
Is he coming on today?
I don't know.
He's gonna have a field day.
Okay.
He has to now.
Let's go do this affiliate thing now.
Do the promo, then the affiliate.
Okay.
Just so to knock them both out. I have to read.
Yeah, only if Ned is not. Oh, definitely. That's crazy. My God.
I mean, I have to check.
All right.
So what do you think that we're gonna promo?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe Kylie Jenner faking Love Island, you think?
Oh, that is great.
How about that?
Tonight's episode is-
Did what?
Her and her friends did the Love Island.
By the way,
Pulling her a chat.
I cannot stomach it anymore. I'm sorry.
It's so good, just keep going.
Oh,
Last night was
God.
amazing.
They're too dumb to watch.
They're not too dumb.
Oh my God.
One sold an AI company.
The one who was saying, I like to drink water. Do you like to drink water? We have so much in common because we drink water.
I mean, it's great.
Okay, let's do this. Here we
All
go.
right. Are you guys rolling for the promo?
Promo first.
Yeah, promo first.
Sound up. And you can do despite the fact that Diddy may serve a few years in prison. On the next TMZ Live, an enormous loss for prosecutors. On the next TMZ Live, an enormous loss for prosecutors. Jurors found On the next TMZ Live, a huge loss for prosecutors. Jurors acquitted Diddy on the 3 big charges.
Well, hold on. If you're going to be long, you got to. 1, it's going to be long. 2, if I'm going to do, despite the fact that you should start with Diddy. Jurors acquit Diddy on 3 charges. An enormous loss for him.
Okay. On the next TMZ Live, jurors acquit Diddy on the 3 big charges. An enormous loss for prosecutors.
Despite the fact Diddy may spend 5 years in prison.
Yep. All right, now we're gonna count up on the clock.
Actually, yeah, it should be 5.
What do you want to go
It
to?
should be several years.
A minute.
We got to do it one more time.
Redoing
It's
promo.
not 5. Yeah, despite several years, not 5 years.
Right. On the next TMZ Live, On the next TMZ Live, the jury acquits Diddy on the 3 big charges.
Enormous loss.
On the next TMZ Live, the jury acquits Diddy on 3 big charges, an enormous loss for prosecutors.
Despite the fact Diddy may spend several years in prison.
Yep.
Okay, now we do a minute.
1 minute's gonna count up.
Here we go.
So you're starting it with just like shocking, or right into it, no setup.
We're doing no rails, nothing. It's just you two.
What do you want?
Yeah, but we're going to spitball.
But we got to do it in a minute.
But we'll do it. We'll spitball. Just trust me on this, okay? Trust me.
Follow the
Who's running the clock?
They're running the clock.
Tim got you.
Tim's got the clock too.
Okay, here we go. This is shocking. This was an enormous defeat for prosecutors. The 3 big charges, which is why they prosecuted him in the first place, the jury acquitted Diddy.
They only found him guilty on what we knew all along were the easiest things to find him guilty of. That was the transportation for purposes of prostitution, the Mann Act.
Which is sending a prostitute across state lines. Happens every day.
We knew before the trial started he was guilty of
They
those.
never would have filed these charges if it were just that. This undeniably is an enormous embarrassment for prosecutors, and it really underscores what Mark Agnifilo was saying, that they tried to make it about baby oil and Astroglide and all that other stuff. And the jury,
but you can't ignore the fact that they looked through also Cassie's emotional testimony, pregnant Cassie testifying,
and didn't buy it.
It wasn't enough.
Didn't buy it. It is undeniably a victory for Diddy, even though he's going to spend time in prison, it would seem.
Great. For TMZ Live so far, we have Jose Baez is in for 10:30.
Yeah, I know, that's good.
He was like, I called it, so he's...
I want to get Joe.
Yeah, we're also...
I want to get Joe.
Joe hasn't responded yet.
I want to get Mark. I mean, Mark is number 1.
Yeah.
I'd love to get Jose
you want
and
do
Joe.
Mark on live and Tubi, or do you want to save Mark for Tubi?
No, I don't want to save
any. Are you getting like Ray J or something, like one of his friends?
Yeah,
like,
we're out to Ray J as well.
Okay. I was
what's his name?
Punisher is...
but I want to get Mark.
No.
Yeah. No, the Punisher is... No. The Punisher is just testimony. No. I mean, think about the big picture here. I want to get Nancy Grace. That's who I want to get.
You don't want to save her for the Tubi?
No, I mean it's not one or the other. It's not one or the other. I want to get somebody who really believed in this. I want to get Nancy Grace. I want to get Nancy. You know, if we can get Jose and Joe, that's great. I definitely want to get Mark. He's number 1. Right. Because Mark was on that team. And I'm going to go for Tenny. I'm going to see if maybe Tenny will do it. But I doubt they're going to do anything until they have the hearing. The hearing is at 10 our time. If we push live until 11, or at least the A block.
Yeah. It just has to be dropped by like 11:50.
Well, we should shoot for Mark. I mean, that's who we want. I mean, we want to get somebody on that defense team.
So Mark Garagos is number 1.
Mark's number 1.
Yeah.
On the defense team?
I know.
Now he's on the defense team.
Why do you think he wouldn't?
No, I know.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah.
He would never ever say it.
No.
Well, now he's going to say.
All right. So Mark, then Nancy is number 2.
I think we want to get Nancy no matter what.
Yeah.
I mean, you want.
And she's already confirmed for Tubi, so she'll be
Nancy
in it.
is-
Just get a time.
But also Lisa Blue, who she defended Don.
I know.
who was a part of
No.
Hey,
Nancy.
Jacob's on the phone if you need to talk to him.
No, we're good.
Cool.
Nancy.
You talking about for live or
Live.
For live.
Okay,
the ideal is Mark and Nancy.
Yeah.
Okay. Those are the 2 we absolutely want.
Yeah.
Jose Baez is great, and Joe, he's great. But those 2 are number 1 and 2. And that if we can get the 2 of them, that's who we want.
Yeah, Nancy we can easily get. I get Nancy all the time. Nancy, I can
So we
call
get
right now.
Nancy, and we try to get Mark.
Thank you. I also really think that you should still try for Ray J. You haven't said like one of his
You
friends.
need one of them. Either Ray J is the first choice.
Yeah, Ray J would.
Or Stevie J.
Ray J or Stevie J.
Because they'll be.
Ray J is going to be great.
Now, the other thing is, honestly, the number 1 person I want is a juror.
Oh yeah.
So that's going to be the key. So Brian's working on that. So if we can get a juror, that's number 1.
Yeah, Brian's working on that. Yeah, they have the Zoom link. They already know to call in. We have someone watching the Zoom all morning. If someone hops in, she's going to flag it immediately.
Yeah.
The Zoom closes every 40 minutes, so we're going to keep reopening it every 40 minutes for the whole day.
Okay. So 11 o'clock, no, 10 o'clock our time is when they go back into court on the bail issue. The other thing is,
So now when we do the...
hey, Eric.
We can't say whether he's...
But we can reach
Eric,
the clock out on 10.
if they let Diddy out, you should call Backred, and we want to find the, if it happens, he'd fly to Star Island. So, what's the name of the airport? The private?
Apalaka. Oh, you mean in New Jersey?
In Jersey. Teterboro.
Teterboro.
My guess is it might be Teterboro.
And he landed at Apalaka.
Right. So.
What is it?
Teterboro, New Jersey,
what is
and then in Miami it's Apalaka.
Apalaka?
Yeah.
OPA-LOCKA.
Thanks for doing that.
Cool.
I handle all the spelling around here.
Oh, I forgot we're live streaming. I know how to spell too. Yeah.
Please, so call back.
Call right now.
And that's going to be top priority.
Cool.
Wow.
I can't.
So a lot.
It's not nearly as shocking as OJ, but it definitely had that feel.
You know why it's more shocking than OJ? Because I saw it coming in OJ. Because when Mark Furman took the stand and admitted using the N-word, and I looked at that jury and saw how the prosecution bungled it, even though it was apparent that he was the guiltiest man ever, I was, my head was there. My head wasn't, and you know, the funny thing is, my head was kind of there.
Early on,
No, before the jury started deliberating. Right. When they started coming out.
But then when they came back so quickly.
I just misjudged it.
Right.
I misjudged it.
Say, you can never predict a jury.
You can never predict a jury. Boy, ain't it the truth. Hold on. For doing it. I mean, I guessed it. I made a guess yesterday, totally wrong.
I should have done that.
The feds will prosecute you. Sans baby oil. Okay. And you guys can shoot the beginning of the show when we do Diddy. Okay. Do you want me to? So let me just tell everybody watching this. It is now. It's almost 8 o'clock LA time, 11 o'clock Eastern time. So we are going to start our morning meeting for the TMZ on TV show. At 11, the judge is back on the bench, 11 LA time, 10 LA time, 1 New York time. The judge is going to be back on the bench and I think is going to make a decision on whether to release Diddy or not. And I think there's a good chance he's going to do it. And we will be back on YouTube when the judge convenes, so we'll let you know. So at around 11 o'clock, at 10 o'clock Pacific, 1 o'clock Eastern, just before that, we'll come back on YouTube and let you know whether Diddy is going to be a free man today. Again, he could be celebrating the 4th of July with his family on Star Island in the house that was raided by the feds. And he could be out as early as hours from now. I mean, it's possible. So we will let you know, and we're going to just do our show right now. We'll keep it rolling while we do the Diddy part, and then we will shut down and we'll come back 10 Pacific, 1 Eastern. Okay, let's do the show. Anybody got a marker?
A marker.
Can shoot.
I got it.
Okay, so Chico. We're gonna do the Diddy, and then you go.
Ridiculous. Can we cut the families coming out? That's better coming out.
Do we know what we're walking out with?
Yeah.
Love Island.
All right, so the walkout might change, right, depending if he gets out or not?
Yeah.
Right?
I'm sure Fox will probably go.
But a week ago,
I want to cut that as well.
Derek. And then the walkout might change, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Derek's doing Diddy.
Yeah, they're gonna
Okay, here we go. Okay, Lauren Sanchez tried on another. Oh, no. Okay. Okay. Diddy is a convicted felon, and it is a huge win for him and a colossal embarrassment for prosecutors.
Yeah, Diddy was found not guilty on the 3 major charges against him, and only found guilty on the Mann Act, the transportation across state lines for purposes of prostitution.
Which is almost a technicality.
It's just not what they would have brought the case against him for.
If the sex worker would not have crossed state lines, it wouldn't even be a federal crime.
I mean,
it's just an issue of crossing state lines.
It's still punishable by up to 10 years, but this is not why they prosecuted him. The big fish for the Southern District of New York prosecuting this case, one of the most storied prosecutors, was to get him on sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, and on RICO, and they failed. The jury found him not guilty on both of those charges, against Jane, the sex trafficking, against Cassie, the sex trafficking, and the RICO overall, which means all this testimony that Cassie gave, tearful testimony, Jane gave testimony, the jury just didn't buy it.
Didn't buy it, or at least had reasonable doubt. They never would have prosecuted this case if it were just about the Mann Act. Never in a million years. And then you have to think back to the U.S. attorney having this, well, you have to think back to a raid where they have 70 officers from Homeland Security busting into his homes. And then the U.S. attorney, it's interesting, Mark Agnifilo, his closing argument may have won the day when he said, the Homeland Security got 1,000 bottles of baby oil off the street and Astroglide as well. Ooh, I mean, that's what he said. And it feels like the jury bought it. And I got to say, I was at the gym this morning, and somebody came up to me and said, somebody came up to me and said, I heard you guys your YouTube history, and he said, do I have this right that this may have been a play by officials in the U.S. Attorney's Office to kind of get the shine on them? I mean, we saw it with Rudy Giuliani as U.S. Attorney. We saw it as James Comey as U.S. Attorney when he prosecuted Martha Stewart. And
that's how the jury saw it.
It kind of is.
Yeah, I mean, it's mind-blowing.
It's upsetting. It's devastating for women as well. Like, this ultimately comes down to the fact that the jury didn't believe the testimonies, all of the evidence put forward about them being forced. It's ridiculous.
But there are women on the jury. There were 4 women on the jury.
Oh, that's not enough.
Well, but wait a minute. But what if they said, look, she was so down with these freak-offs for so many times, and most of the other times when she said she wasn't, it was in her head, but she didn't convey it, most of them. And if the jury said, we just are not convinced beyond a reasonable doubt.
But they were instructed that you only need one act of not consenting, and they asked for the testimony about 3 different instances where there was testimony about her saying, I don't want to do the freak off.
Jurors are human beings, right? And ultimately, it is true, they either didn't believe Cassie or they maybe didn't think it was a big enough deal to convict him on sex trafficking. They convicted him on the Mann Act point, which up to 20 years, but he'll probably get far less than that.
I mean, unless the judge has offender.
First-time offender.
And by the way, the Mann Act is a nonviolent crime.
It is,
but the judge knows he did this over a long period of time. He may want to throw the book at him on those 2 crimes.
Is probation likely, or
no? It's some jail time. But look, we can opinions may differ on this, but it's a simple prostitution charge. The only thing it's not what we common variety is that he brought somebody across state lines for it, but that's a technicality.
It's the crossing of state lines that makes it a federal crime. Otherwise, it's a state prosecution. By the way,
we're talking about misdemeanor, guys.
It's often
a federal crime.
If it were all in California, it'd probably be a misdemeanor.
Oh, but by the way, I don't think this is never prosecuted.
But it's not a misdemeanor. It's a real crime.
I got it's a felony. But if he were to look up somebody online just like he did, but it was across town instead of on the other side of in a different state, we would have a local crime that never be prosecuted.
The thing I'll agree with you is they would have never brought the case just on that. You're 100% right.
But
They wanted the bigger fish, but it's still a crime.
If somebody's just convicted for the Mann Act, are we even upset with that person for bringing somebody across state lines for the purpose of sex? Is that
Are
really
you upset? Because if you're going to say yes, I'm going to ask you about somebody who takes some hires a hooker in Vegas.
Yeah, wow. I don't want to get into that. But what I will say is, the judge. You say the jury is are people. The judge is a person too, and he may have his own feelings about Diddy.
The judge has to follow.
He's a human. He's a human, Harvey.
The judge has to follow the law.
Yeah. He does, and he has a lot of discretion over how to punish Diddy.
Well,
up to 10 years.
Sort of what Justice McReynolds once said, right?
But good for you. The spotted. I don't know the whole quote.
It's just like
An amorphous dummy, unspotted by human emotion, is an unbecoming receptacle for human.
This is your dementia check.
Yeah, it really is. Now we go to a conservatorship case.
Brought to you by I think they brought the case. It makes it easier next time when similar cases brought.
Oh, it makes it so much harder. They've been embarrassed. The prosecutors have been embarrassed.
This is a humiliating defeat for prosecutors.
But I think to the point Derek just made, the next time they have somebody in a similar situation, they're going to be less likely.
They're going to be gun shy about bringing it in. This is embarrassing.
I don't see how you can watch that video and know the video is
turn it away from me
and not think that force was.
This is a triumph of illegality. I'm sorry. Like the fact that he
Eric,
bribed
did
the
we
guy to
print
bury
the
the video
Wimbledon photos?
and got around the statute of limitations.
Which one? What's
state
that?
claim. It was an awkward fit in federal court. He wins in federal
Oh,
court.
wait,
means
I didn't give
he's
you Wimbledon.
insulated
That's
himself from the
Christina. Yeah, no, I'm
effectively. This is how rich people.
Who's doing Haley? Now,
Can I slack you?
they could still theoretically.
You said Green Day.
Trennis, yeah, sorry.
Or things that happen within the statute of limitations, domestic violence, violence against women. I don't think they will, but it's possible.
I think that's what we'll see. I think Letitia Wright, is that her name? The New York Attorney General?
Yes.
Is going to step into the breach.
No way. Yep.
Really? And look for a reason.
They did it in the Rodney King case, right? The officers got acquitted locally and they convicted them federally on the same crime.
This guy's dangerous.
Hold on. The statute of limitations.
So very happy.
On the Intercontinental,
Intercontinental. But there are sex crimes where the statute of limitations is longer.
And Jane testified that he beat the crap out of her in 2024. She's certainly alive.
She got a highly.
No, it was 2024.
Yes. When they brought the case.
No, when he chased her around, it was.
At 10 o'clock, we'll find out.
Yeah, 2022. Oh, so.
But Janet said
he was
after he was
walk out
aware of the
because
case.
he ran. And he was
Everyone's walking out right now on TV.
Ankle bracelets, passports already been taken. Would have no access.
So you can't flee.
Yes, everyone please be on standby for 10 o'clock in case we have to do a full room pickup. What happens?
Christine, somebody with a half a
So
million
no
dollars
lunch breaks out around 10.
probably.
So do you want to add the Harvey? You want to toss the last element of getting out pending sentencing?
We're going to know at 10 o'clock.
Yes, the official is that
Oh my god, Stevie J just texted Olivia. I told y'all not to count my guy out.
But there's going to be a victory lap. That's going to put like Donald Trump's victory lap.
Does he do a white party for the 4th of July? Yeah.
He does a full free all.
Yeah, no, he does.
Yes, but only local prostitutes. Full white party, only local.
Sorry, Punisher, I can't.
Yeah. Sorry.
I mean, if you want to pay your own flight, that's fine.
See, that's all the funny stuff, but we can't do it.
Let's keep going.
So here's what.
So now here's the deal. At the time we are doing this now, the Diddy's lawyers have said, let him out pending sentencing.
They said he's only been punished on a non-violent crime, transportation of prostitutes. He should be released pending sentencing.
And I will say that if it wasn't Diddy, and if it was just a Mann Act prosecution, he would, number one, he wouldn't have been jailed. And number two, they would let him out for sure, pending sentencing and appeal.
Although he is still a flight risk and he's still very, very rich, and the analysis is different than the conviction.
The judge said,
witness tampering.
give me a case where somebody's been held without bail for a Mann Act offense. And the prosecutor said we'll do some research.
I really think there's no flight risk here. It just, I understand how rich he is, but
there was no flight
he's
risk
going to
with
go to
Roman
jail for
Polanski.
a few years. He's going to come out and, from what we've seen from everybody else, be re-embraced into society and start making his
I don't know about that.
We know he's a terrible guy. He's a domestic abuser.
I don't know.
How much is he embraced by other by?
I think a lot of people.
Why release him? He's facing prison time.
Well, he's not. I'm sure he's not. What he's
No, I
thinking
get
is
it.
I'm not going to be in prison for
Oh,
the
for
rest of my
sure.
life.
Yeah, but why
I'm
release
not
him?
worried about that. But the first party he has, and he will have one.
Yeah.
Who's going to show up?
Yeah.
Who's really going to show up?
He's gonna be a.
Is that really the issue today?
I saw Trent saying
I think like he's only guilty on those 2 charges, so he doesn't look as bad.
No,
so
but his image is messed up.
But his supporters are still going to stand by him.
Guys, I will only
He's
say,
already got-
That's beyond a reasonable doubt.
say this to
His
you.
image is
I will only say this to
Oh,
you.
I know what you're going to say.
Well, you know what I'm going to say. O.J. Simpson ended up being a beloved character in Vegas, where people were swarming him for autographs and pictures.
And white
I know.
The scumbag capital of the world.
Stay away
Wait,
from
but hold on. Ray Rice beat on his wife, right? This is the same thing. He beat Cassie on video. And that's an image. If you want to see that, it's going to mess up his image. It's
Yeah, I say his image. And he's still got 100 Busby lawsuits to deal with. His life is not good.
Where are the examples of musicians who are not still incarcerated, who have done horrible things and not been able to come back?
It's the video, though. The video.
Michael Jackson
came back.
Michael Jackson was pretty.
And he
That's that second trial. Something about when it's on video.
Although the This Is It tour was going to be.
This Is It tour was selling out. The This Is It tour was selling out, Eric.
But for the rest, all the years
But
and years
Eric,
in between.
and now his estate's worth $1 billion.
He was never convicted.
He makes $600 million a year in his estate.
Because he's dead. Because there's no. He's not problematic anymore. He's dead.
I hear you.
You just listen to.
Okay, I get it. Everybody thought Martha Stewart was finished. That Martha Stewart, the homemaker, goes to prison. Everybody should.
With a non-violent.
She was an insider trading. Who cares?
Harvey, and then beat his girlfriend on video.
I know.
But that video doesn't mean anything. Look at the jury. The jury didn't even take into context the video at all.
You compare it to insider
The
trading.
jury asked about the Intercontinental. The jury actually asked for a testimony back.
But they asked about it, how it relates to a freak-off, which is what the trial was about.
They wanted to know was he pulling her back into a freak-off, and there was testimony that no.
How can you see that video and not think there is force involved in this relationship?
It has to be force in connection with the freak-off, because that's what they were talking about.
I don't know how good that video is.
What the defense said, I don't know, but the defense was saying it was because she saw a text message from another woman and they got in a big fight.
If Judge Subramanian releases this guy pending sentencing, he's looking at a possible Roman Polanski situation, which is embarrassing. No, you are. What do you mean? You act like that was ancient history. Roman Polanski fled. He fled. I'm not asking about the crime. He fled justice.
No, but Derek, you can't equate justice from rape.
All right, that's plenty.
Okay, so
And then I said at 10.
so we're gonna probably have to come back. We are gonna have to come back. So we'll figure it out. That's gonna be the end of YouTube for now. But we're gonna be back in 2 hours, a little less than 2 hours, to see if Diddy goes free or not. So we will be back. So stay close.
It's the end of us, I bet you, right?